Oh, oh, mm, be recording. Here we go. Renee. Hey, Renee. Oh, can't. I think you're on mute. Got it.
Hi there.
I can hear you now.
Okay.
How are you today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm exhausted. I've been teaching since 8 o'clock this morning.
Oh boy.
That's a long day. Mondays and Wednesdays they're the marathon.
Oh yeah.
And amongst other things that I'm juggling and doing. So did you get any writing done?
Oh goodness, no.
Oh, no ghost story? Do you have one off the top of your head?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Something. It's a true one. Well,
Well, I mean, an
a ghost story.
experience, right?
What's
An
that?
experience. Yeah, I think
Yeah, an
I
experience.
see the
Yeah.
top of your head. I think you got to move your camera
Uh,
down. There you go. Much better.
I've got a lounge chair in my living room, so I was trying to get comfortable. I guess.
Sure.
There we go.
So we're waiting for
Um,
the others. I know two won't. Aldi, is that his name? And his mother aren't here tonight. They're
okay.
they're traveling or something, so they're not
Mhm.
going to be here. And I think everyone else, one of them, Deb wrote a story and sent it to me. I know Jean Marie's got something. Um, and then we're going to have a new member in our class named
Oh,
Jeffrey, so he's supposed to be coming in as well.
okay.
Yes.
What would I do?
So did you like the radio shows the plays I sent you?
I
Did you
didn't watch them all, but
You got, but no, you didn't have to. I really wanted you to listen to the first one. I didn't realize it was like a 3 hour long thing,
I know I was like, wow.
but I listened to them all. I mean, it took me a couple of days, but I did listen. But it
Yeah.
was that first one, which was it's a fictional story, but it has all the tropes that
Mhm.
go into ghost stories, and it was,
Right.
you know,
Oh yeah.
pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I run across something like that, I'll just send it to you guys, and then we can talk about them.
Okay.
But I didn't realize those radio plays were in the 70s. Usually you're thinking the 50s.
Hmm.
Oh, that's, but yeah, I do remember there was radio stuff going on in the early 70s. And
Yeah. Yeah.
because I would listen to maybe not that broadcast, but there were some others. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to try to listen to more of it. I got home from running a bunch of errands around 5:30, so I had to
Yeah.
shove some food in my face for supper, and while I was doing that, I was watching.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
So, but
Well, I'm just saying you can listen through. They're not all ghost stories. They're like suspense and mystery stuff, and
yeah.
one's a little bit maybe on the science fiction side. I noticed they borrowed a lot of music from the Twilight Zone.
Oh,
I
yeah.
recognized the music, I'm like, well, Twilight Zone was the CBS production, so it doesn't, phase me that they were recycling that music, but
Yeah.
they were just nice little, radio things. And I don't know, I kind of miss listening to radio. I mean, there were times, yeah, when I was young, listening at night, and sometimes
Oh,
it's
yeah.
better than TV.
In this day and age, yeah, definitely. So,
Yeah, I'm telling you, there was. So I don't know where everybody is. We got 1 minute, but they'll hopefully chime in here. But,
yeah.
did you look at some of the, remember I sent the PowerPoint, did you look at some of the links of the articles on the types of ghosts and,
Not yet.
all right, I'm just saying that's just a reference for you.
Yeah. Tomorrow's my day off, so maybe I'll get a chance to do something
Okay.
tomorrow.
There you go. I know how that feels.
Yep. Yeah. So,
Tomorrow I got to do midterm grades. I'm late. They should have been in yesterday.
oh boy. Yeah.
It's not too many students, but I got to get them done, and that'll be tomorrow.
There you go. Yeah.
But what do you do, Renee? What is it?
I work in a greenhouse. Yeah.
It's lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. Skillins Greenhouse in
Oh,
Brunswick.
Skillins. Yeah. Oh, you
Yeah.
were there.
So,
I haven't been up there for ages.
yeah, it was pretty hot. I had to work today, and it was pretty hot, but
Imagine.
and I got all excited because I thought we were gonna have a thunderstorm, but nothing happened. So
Yeah, I honestly, I was waiting for it. It's like,
yep.
I was watching the clouds.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think there is a front moving in. They said
Yeah.
the humidity's supposed to come down anyway.
Yeah, just for tomorrow, I think.
Yeah. Oh, and then it comes back.
Yeah. So, last I heard, but
Well, what are you gonna do? It's the weather, right?
yeah, this is not triple digits like out in the Southwest.
Gosh, oh my gosh, that's incredible. Death Valley broke records.
Yep.
Like, holy cow, like in the middle of the night, it was 1 o'clock in the morning, 120 degrees.
Yeah.
Death Valley. And tourists are going out just to feel that. They want to feel that horrendous heat. It's like, okay, because then they can run to an air-conditioned car. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And some people are baking loaves of bread in their mailboxes. It's so hot.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they tried the good old-fashioned baking an egg on the pavement type thing.
Oh yeah, when I was a kid, I lived out in Arizona. I'm from Arizona originally. That's the kind of stuff we would do.
Oh yeah.
Put the egg, on a car, which wasn't good for the enamel of the car. I remember my dad's black Cadillac with the fins, and we were cooking eggs on the hood of the car.
Oh boy.
Burning the paint.
Yeah.
But yeah, boy, it was hot. It was hot back then too. It was I remember one day it got up to 116, and then what are you gonna do?
Yeah. I had a coworker who I think she went out to Arizona one time, not this year, but I mean in past years, and she said, "Oh yeah, it's pretty brutal out there.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as dry heat. Heat is heat." So,
exactly. Heat is heat.
yeah.
It's different when it's not humid, but still it saps you. You dehydrate so fast when it comes to that.
Yep. Yeah.
And I gotta find where these people are. Where are you? What happened? Okay?
Usually I'm the last one to show up, but
Well, I don't know what's going on. Because I know they're supposed to. They may have. Sometimes there's trouble signing on.
yeah.
I hope that, there was a weird thing, Mary meeting. Did you get an email about some link to the ghost thing? Did you get an email from Mary meeting?
I think so. Yeah.
That's not for Zoom. That is because they asked me to record our classes, and I put them up on YouTube because some people over in the office want to see it.
Yeah,
And I hope they're not sending that link like it's the link to the class. Cause
right,
I'm just gonna
yeah.
get on.
Yeah. I don't Zoom all that much. So I said, well, I'm gonna assume that it's on the one that we used last week. So and I was right. So well,
Rachel's asking, where are you? I'm like, we're in class. Wait a minute. Let me do this, Renee.
okay.
There's some snafu going on.
All right.
I'm gonna figure it out. Oh my gosh. Something got lost in translation. I mean, everybody got on last night, okay. I mean, last week,
Yeah.
we didn't have any problem. I haven't changed anything.
Mhm.
All right, I'm just gonna, aha, here comes somebody. Here's Rachel. I don't know where Jeffrey is. Let me see if I can get a hold. There you are, Rachel. So you got,
Sorry, I dozed off and it was like, oh shoot, it's 6 o'clock already.
you're asking me, where are you?
Damn.
Well, and I don't know, Jeffrey is supposed to be coming in. And then Deb and Jim should be coming in. I know Aldi and Beth they're going away. They're going to someplace. They couldn't be here tonight. So I gotta figure out where everybody is. Where is everybody?
Hmm.
Maybe Jeffrey fell asleep too. He works. He has a tough day and he's out.
Sorry, I was like, oh, it's not 6 o'clock yet.
Yeah, I felt like that myself, but I use signing in. And where's Jean Marie? Oh my gosh. What is happening? And she was all excited because she came up with another story. All right, I'll contact her too. There's Jeffrey. Let me find Jean Marie. Jean Marie, where are you? Marie, Jean. Don't tell me I'm in the wrong one. There she is. Hang on. Where's Jean Marie? Yeah, we're missing a few. I want to hear your story. Okay, so I've texted them because she was all excited. She sent me a thing about the story she wrote
Oh,
and I know I always enjoy listening to her. So let me see what's going on with the others because what is this? So we have Deb. That's not her. Wait a second. That is her. Let me see. What's it? Jim is. Aha, here we go. James is there. I was just gonna text him. There they are. All right, let me. Here's James. Hi. Hi, Jim. I think you're on mute. Oh, there you guys are. So I think you're on mute right now. And we're waiting for two more people. So Aldi and his mom, they're going on vacay or something. They're not here tonight. You there, Jim?
Okay,
Yeah, we can hear you now. Oh, you went mute again. What happened? There's Rachel. All right, let me
Oh,
I must have hit the pad here.
there you go.
It's very sensitive. Yeah, Beth and Alden are on at camp. They've rented,
That's what she said. Yeah, they're at
Yeah.
camp, right?
so they may not be able to join us. So We're here.
All right, we're supposed to be getting two more. I'm messaging him now. You coming? Because we have a new one who signed up, and he emailed me. I'm letting him know we're
With a note taker.
okay.
Doing some notes for me.
All right, I'm just sending messages out. I don't know, because I know what Jean Marie was she had said she had a great story she was working on. And I want to hear it. And I got yours,
Jim,
Deb, I got yours. But I gotta ask you, Deb, you're gonna read it. We want to all hear it. Can you read it? Do you have it with you? Do you have the one that you sent?
oh my gosh.
Honey,
Uh,
you
I
could
have
just
it. I
upload
have
your
it. I
doc-
have it.
On your document.
What was that?
Don't you think you could find it on
Can
your
I get
Word
to
doc?
documents?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you can.
Well, if you can, I have it. We can open it up and share it here. So,
Yeah,
hang on, we can
yeah,
do that
it's just
here.
a germ of an idea, really.
Yeah, no, I saw that. I wanted it, hang on a second. What am I on? Okay, I got our article that I sent.
Yeah,
Give me a second here. I gotta get back in the
I can do
Yahoo.
it in the share somewhere.
Oh,
No.
did you find it?
Only if you-
No,
Oh,
That's
I
only
got
if
it.
you
I got it
can.
and I'll share. I'll put it on share.
okay, okay.
Where was it? I just was looking at it.
Hmm.
Come on.
It'd be from Jim Connors.
Yes. No, I got it, but come on. Coming here. Guess my computer's a little bit, it's on the slow side. So there's Jean Marie. All right, Jim, I got yours. Oh, what's going on with Jean Marie? I got it here. And I guess we can look at it this way. I got there's gonna be a lot of commotion going around because I got a whole bunch of motorheads out in the driveway. My neighbor is helping them with cars, and then they're showing the house as well. So to a prospective buyer. So there'll be might hear some banging around, but okay, so here we go. And share. There we are. Can we all see it here on the right? I gotta move this.
Coming.
Where are we not to start screen? Ah, there we go.
Got it? I'm trying to
Yep,
make
there
it
it is.
big. I want to make it bigger here. Like that, everyone can see.
Yeah,
So, you want to read the writer? Did the writer want to read it?
sure.
Go ahead.
All right. Section of the Hills to Sea Trail that runs from Unity to Belfast. Climbing a low hill, the trail entered a dark, wet forest glen with many dead and downed balsam fir trees, creating a spooky feeling about entering this damp area ahead. We entered the glen, and suddenly we were surrounded by streams of blood-red water flowing around our feet. I looked around for the source of this strange condition, but could not see anything. We looked at each other, worried that something bad was going on. Darkening skies and a light sprinkle added to the foreboding feelings of this dark, dank place. We looked upstream for a source of the bloody water, but found only more red water flowing out of the deep woods. The light rain hitting the canopy of leaves created a serene sound, but could we hear something? Or was it our imaginations? Or the light breeze through the aspen trees, rustling the leaves, I could add. I was spooked. It felt like something bad, gruesome had happened in this out-of-the-way place, deep in the woods. Had anyone else come to this way and reported all this bloody water? Who would believe rivers of blood flowing through the woods? Should we continue and try to get through the glen? We continued, picking our way over the bloody red ground,
Hang on.
keeping it for any other surprise or surprises, until we reached the other side of this gloomy, dank, dark place filled with blood red water. Later, we learned from my biologist daughter that finding red waters in the woods and roadsides of Maine is a common occurrence. The red in the water is a bacterium that colonizes stagnant pools of water, turning it rusty to blood red.
Yeah, well, I like your setting and your setup, but then you started to explain it away. And that was like the buzzkill. Don't explain it. I mean, you might, in a good, what, there are a lot of movies like this. Oh, there's a natural explanation for it, right?
Yeah.
But where are you going with this?
Well, thinking about it since, I can't, trying to create some sort of creature or ghost or force of some sort that might account for all of the
Okay. Well,
something like that.
so this is just something that you're setting up to develop into something more creepy and gnarly and
Yeah,
to go on.
right.
The woods is always a spooky place. It's a good setting, right?
Yes, yep.
And
for the yeah. So we could think about some kind of a villainous creature in there that's chewing up moose or something, or
it's
But you don't have to
something.
say what does it.
I
What
know.
you don't have to say what does it. You just have to instill fear. But
Yeah.
then again, this is a horror story. Boy, this is great. This would be great for my lovely publication here. See, there's our current issue, our horror magazine. I'd love it. So yeah, I'm just saying that's a nice setup for a horror story. Why is everything blood red? Oh, there's a logical explanation, but then you notice that's not really the reason. There's got, like you said, what was that part with your, did we hear something? Was there
Right.
something that you heard? That's my question.
Yeah, I think that's sort of a leading question, isn't it?
Right, but we could hear something. So do you want to say what you heard? Was it a wild yowling or crying or some shrieking noise? Fish or cats make shrieking noises.
Oh, yeah.
But
Certainly, the creaking of a tree,
yeah,
the squealing and creeping and creaking of trees are sounds that scare people in the forest.
yeah, snapping of sticks, especially when it's getting dark. And then you're like, what's out there? Yeah.
Or maybe
So-
this is a Bigfoot story.
Be a Bigfoot story. Bigfoot is definitely paranormal. It's not a ghost. Maybe there's a ghost of Bigfoot. Is there such a thing?
Probably.
The ghost of
It
Bigfoot.
can be.
Have I even heard of that? I've heard Bigfoot being a UFO related to UFOs and aliens, but ooh, do we have a ghost of Bigfoot? Let's Google that. Is there such a thing? Are there any stories about the ghost of Bigfoot? I bet you there is something. I don't know. What else? What do you think, Renee or Rachel or anybody? Scooby-Doo has the ghost of Bigfoot. Anyway, go ahead, Rachel.
No, I was just thinking the way the master does it. Stephen King, he sets up just kind of ordinary some characters just doing ordinary things, and then all of a sudden, bam, he just drops this thing into the scene, and then so here it's kind of like we're hiking along, suddenly we're in this dark place. Oh, you're trying to explain it away to yourself, but then, I don't know, E.T. suddenly stops by, or
Yeah, E.T.
bang, it's like, and something drops out of a tree or, slithers out of the water or,
Yes, yeah. Grabs a leg as you're walking
Yes.
along and something
oh
wraps
yeah,
around
yeah,
your
this is
ankle.
just normal. We're in a gloomy place. Oh, it started to rain. Oh, there's an explanation for why suddenly things are blood red. And then, it's kind of like, Spielberg does it in Jaws. It's like
Yes,
all of a sudden, up out of the deep,
yeah, it comes up.
the
Pulls it down.
the bad guy appears, or
Yeah, the monster.
That fish.
the monster.
Yeah. Well, that's the
Because
thing. Go ahead, Rachel. Yeah.
well, and the other thing isn't horror internal, whereas terror is external?
Yeah. Terror is external. It's the Jaws is more of a terror thing where it's something's out there and it's coming to get you and you may not know what it is. I think they kind of walk a fine line. Horror is usually your own internal perceptions of things. How
Yeah.
you're interpreting your environment. Like, is it our imagination? Was it our imaginations? That now is getting into the horror side where, we know there's something off. We know there's something wrong. But is it us just fabricating stuff, or is there something really that we need to fear? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's kind of like, is it our imagination, or is it, something real? Something.
Yeah. I mean, a bear in the woods that's chasing you down, that's pure terror. That's terror. You're running. You gotta get away from that bear. Something that you don't have an explanation for. If you analyze a lot of Lost in the Woods kind of horror scenarios, sometimes they're ghosts, sometimes they're Bigfoot stories. There is a series on the Travel Channel called Haunted Woods or something like that.
Oh, Terror in the Woods.
Yeah, is that it? Yeah, you've
Yeah,
seen
I
that?
think. Yeah, I think. I
That's
think
it.
they changed the name though, but yeah.
No, I think it's Terror in the Woods.
Okay.
Yeah, do you remember some of those, Renee? What kind of scenarios they had?
Yeah, a lot of it was Bigfoot stories. Some of it, especially if it took place, they found a cemetery in the woods. Some of it had to deal with satanic stuff, and
Yeah,
but I think it used to be called Terror in the Woods, but
Yeah.
now it's called These Woods Are Haunted, or
that's something
vice
like,
versa.
yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
So I don't get the Travel Channel anymore, so I was
Oh,
like, but but yeah, I do remember some of the stories that they were supposedly true, and
yeah, I mean, there are plenty of stories around the world about haunted forests, whether
Yeah.
they're what we call the elementals, which are these sort of nature-born spirits or entities, and they just attack you for the heck of it because that's what they do. They're kind of natural spirits. There are the cryptids, which are the Bigfoot and the Pukwudgies. Sometimes what is it? The bridge, was it Bridgerton? What is that town in Massachusetts? There's a triangle, like a Bermuda Triangle down in Massachusetts. And there's a park or big forest area where there had been, Jeffrey's made it. Oh God, he probably just got back from work. I just don't know where Jean Marie is. Boy, she's Jean Marie. Hey, Jeffrey, he's making it. So it's the Bridgeton or the Bridgerton Triangle in Mass. And there's a forest where there had been, I think some murders had happened and they claimed it was a satanic cult thing. But people go through there and they encounter all kinds of weird things. So, yeah, there's lots of legends of being around the woods and strange spirits or demons or whatever. I don't know. Jim, what are you thinking is going to be? What's this one going to be?
Well, you're giving me some good ideas. I I did read some about forest ghosts and demons and elementals, and each country and society has these various woods-based
Yes.
things. I don't know that the United States particularly has one, like,
Yeah.
Bigfoot, Sasquatch, that sort of thing. But
Yeah, I'm gonna look up that. Let me see if I can find it. Yes, Massachusetts has a legend. Bridgewater, that's what it is. Look up the Bridgewater Triangle. That's been it's in Massachusetts, and they've had all kinds of paranormal, from UFOs to poltergeists in the forest to spectral phenomena. I'm reading the list of things. Let's see, Bigfoot sightings, giant snakes, thunderbirds, and I know puckwudgies have been seen there, which is a Wampanoag kind of
yeah,
like a gnome, an impish little thing that lures you into the bogs. So you might take a look at Bridgewater Triangle. How about Renee? Do you know of any place in Maine where they thought they had some haunted forest?
Oh gosh, I haven't heard of any that I can remember. Yeah, I can't really think of one, but I don't know if I was just thinking of this because you were talking about Bridgewater down in Massachusetts,
Yeah.
but I was watching on YouTube last night. There's this channel called Bedtime Stories.
I've heard, yes, I sometimes listen to that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really really kind of cool. And they actually had a new one on last night, and they're supposedly based on true stories.
Uh-huh.
And they've done research and everything. And this one was called "The Horrors of Cannock Chase," which is over in England.
Uh-huh.
And I guess so. Like like about Bridgewater, all these weird things happen. Well, the same thing happens over there. People have seen black-eyed children and
Yeah, the black-eyed.
and-
Ooh.
yeah, and and big dogs, hellhounds, I guess is what they call
Yes,
them.
the hellhounds. Yep.
Yeah, and just no, all kinds of weird stuff happens over there too. So, but yeah, if you want to listen to that,
Bedtime stories. I'll listen to that. I
Yeah.
haven't heard that one. Yeah, I do the
Yeah.
same thing right before I go to bed. I listen to those spooky things.
right? Yeah. So that might give you some ideas, James.
yeah, it's Jim. That's
Oh,
Jim.
sorry, Jim.
Jim, okay.
So I came across the Randolph Woods.
Yes,
which is,
I'm reading about it right now.
right across the road from Gardner.
Yes.
And apparently that made it into the main trail guides.
And it made it to Travel Channel too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that was the only haunted woods in Maine that I came across.
Yeah, it's the only one I'm finding right now. I just ran across it. So strange sounds, uneasy. That's near Gardner.
Yeah,
You said?
across the river. By
oh,
Togus.
yeah.
It's on the way out to Togus. So it's
Oh,
an
yeah.
old trolley bed that ran over to Togus that was abandoned and then was redeveloped as a trail in the last 10 years or so.
Oh, I'll have to go up there.
And people hear noises. And then there was a young person on a bicycle who disappeared.
Yes, a
Oh,
man who
there-
disappeared. Yep.
Yeah. So some people think they might see him.
Have you been
Oh.
there?
No, but I know where it is.
Let's make a trip. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Field trip. Field trip.
It's good skiing. It's good cross country
Is it
skiing.
in the winter months?
If it's
Oh,
where I
oh.
think it is, I think my sister and I went there years ago.
Huh?
We never heard. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice trail, except when it's mud season. But
Mud
we never heard anything. We saw squirrels, and that's about it.
Ah,
So, yeah.
well, now I just ran across another one. The Falmouth shadow creature was caught on a dash cam. Anyone heard of that?
No.
They think it's a spirit of an animal who died on the road. That
Uh,
also, or a hellhound. They're also describing it as a hellhound. That also made it on Paranormal Caught on Camera, but I haven't seen. I've seen the guy who's up in Carmel. Carmel, is that how they pronounce it?
I think Carmel.
Carmel. Okay, Carmel. And so
In this area, that's how they say it.
Yeah, okay, so Carmel, so he claims there's a bunch of stuff, but I know he's faking his stuff, so he just is a publicity hound. But I never heard of the Falmouth, whatever. Shadow creature. Boy, we gotta look that one up. So anything more, Jim, about
Oh,
anything more about that Randolph Woods? Is that what's inspired you? Do you
my
think?
problem is, I very quickly go to science and facts, and I haven't had time letting my mind go wild enough to say, there's a shadow creature here, or there's a elemental, or so
Well, I did
it's a
detect that
whacking dog. Yeah,
with this explanation at the end. It's like, oh, okay, we're going to explain this scientifically. And I get you. I mean, this is normal. You see this again in movies when there's paranormal activity and there's gonna be some scientific explanation, which was typical Gothic horror back in the 19th century, early 20th. They had to explain that there was somebody hiding in the closet. They couldn't be just a haunting.
So what do you all think would add? What kind of a
Yes.
threatening creature, or when you're in the woods, what are you afraid of? What do you think is hiding behind the trees?
Where'd Jeffrey go?
Well, fear of the unknown is always the classic.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
You know,
if you even go back in American literature to Nathaniel Hawthorne and Young Goodman Brown. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
ever read it, but that's total way back Pilgrims. We're talking Puritans. They had a terrible fear of the forest, and they felt the forest was just a place for demons and the devil to reside. And that's a short story, and if you haven't read it, you should read it because it's got a lot of social commentary about belief systems and how innocence gets totally destroyed because of encountering the devil in the woods. So demons. There was a movie, The Witch, which was the same thing. A Puritan family is expulsed from the colony and they got to live on the edge of the woods, and weird things happen. I mean, that's a creepy movie if you haven't seen it. So is it a devil? Is it a bunch of Satan worshipers, which that's kind of a cliche. Native Americans have a lot of beliefs. There's a creature called the Esasit in Penobscot legend, and it's a flaming skeleton that comes out to consume you because it was the soul of a starved person, a person who died in the wilderness from lack of food.
Yeah.
All kinds of interesting things. Jeffrey, what do you think? What could be the monster in the woods?
The monster in the woods.
This is Jeffrey, everybody. Jeffrey. Yeah.
How's it going?
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. The ones that frighten me the most, I think, would be start with a W. So a Wendigo and a werewolf.
Oh,
Jeffrey, would you say that again? What were they?
Oh, Wendigo.
I'm not
from-
familiar with it.
Oh, can you hear me?
No, I'm just not familiar with the Wendigo.
Oh, yeah, it's from Native American lore. It's similar to what Laura is describing about the burning skeleton. It gets emaciated, it starts like eating itself, and it's got a voracious appetite. They say like it gets so hungry it eats the lips off its own mouth, so all you see is like exposed teeth. Then they eventually just what do they do? Consume.
what is that, Jeffrey?
The Wendigo spirit.
Yeah, that's got a bunch of comes out, I think, from the Plains Indians. I think some eastern woodland tribes believe in it. The SSC, I think, is a Penobscot version of it. but the Wendigo is a spirit and it will invade a body and then people will turn to cannibalism.
Right.
Isn't that one of the theories anyway?
Yep.
Um,
There's also been, I mean, like the Beast of Bray Road. You ever
Oh
heard of
yeah,
that?
the Beast of Bray Road in Wisconsin. Is that Wisconsin?
Yeah, special road there.
You want to explain that one?
The people claim to see a beast that resembles like a werewolf, a walking dog type creature. And people say they would drive their car. I don't know how fast it is down that way, but they keep right up with the car. Running
Yeah,
alongside.
it'll pace with the car.
So that's so scary. I remember I saw one episode, I can't remember. The girl was coming home that night. She stopped and she saw, something in the road, and just jumped out of the car and looked over, and it was I think it was that beast like eating a dead animal or something on the ground, and it was just hunched over it like
Yeah, I got caught in the headlights. Was that it, Jeff?
Yeah, eating with his own two hands, like a humanoid type creature. But, I think that stuff's kind of scary.
Yeah, these are encounters people have had, um, Man,
You
think of the
overpowered
Blair
by something like that.
yeah, there people. Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
Oh no, Blair Witch.
Werewolves. Did you know that there is a documented case of werewolves up in Palmyra, Maine from the 1980s or 90s?
Huh.
Werewolves.
From Palmyra.
Even the sheriff's office has documented encounter. Here she comes. She didn't have the link didn't work. I just sent it. So Jean Marie is in. So yeah, are they werewolves? There's Jean Marie.
I
I
was
don't know.
reading this story right here. This is
Yeah.
Jane or Jim. This is
Jim's
your
story, yeah. You made
Yeah.
it. Sorry about that, guys. I was wondering what was going on. Pauline is there. Jean Marie.
Yeah, hit that.
Was it
unmute.
just the link
I
was
did.
wrong?
Oh.
You
Okay,
did.
okay, I have to unplug the
Yay,
headphones so
we're
we
here.
can hear them. I mean, I can hear them, but you hear them better if they're unplugged. All
Yep,
right.
because I think Pauline will be reading when we're ready, right?
Maybe. Depends if the other
Maybe.
has issues.
Um,
I
so-
don't know what happened.
that I know things are kind of goofy, but yeah, I'm glad I got you the link. Jeffrey, so what were you saying? I'm sorry. What were you saying about this story, Jim's story?
Oh, and I just when I started reading it, it opens like very spooky.
I'll print that
Then you get at the bottom and you understand what it is scientifically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's where
Um,
that was the
Table.
party pooper line with let's explain it with biology, which and Jim
Which
said
is good.
he's a science-minded person, so
Yeah. I guess it depends on like what you're, so these ghost stories, I'm assuming like in this class, these are live experiences we've had.
not always. No, this Jim, this is
Mine's not.
Could be
Jim,
fictional.
this is fictional. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Although Jim
Um,
has had paranormal encounters, right, Jim?
Yeah, in a house setting and a ghost or a feeling, cold feeling in an old farmhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, this the
No,
facts on the ground here are true. There is running water. There was blood red going through the forest.
well,
you actually saw it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I
So
think
this
we
Yeah,
could
it's cool.
add the
It's like
fact
red
that there are
tide.
cemeteries.
What was the cemetery? Was there what that Deb?
I think we could add the fact, because I was on this hike
Yeah.
too,
Oh,
that we were figuring out that it was a place that was very well inhabited in the past and had grown in, and there were all these stone walls. And I think if we found cemeteries and then some like muddy footprints, like fresh muddy
Mm.
footprints,
Mm.
You just need something that would make the hair on the back of your neck go.
And then you want the sun to be going down and, how far are you from the road?
Very.
That's where you build this tension. I mean, this is daylight during daytime.
Stretch the
We
shadows
said
along.
darkening skies and a light
Mm.
sprinkle. So it was an overcast, kind of rainy, gloomy day, right?
Yes.
But
yeah.
what if it's getting dark, meaning, sun's going,
Yeah.
we're losing daylight. But
It could have
yeah.
been, it
Mhm,
could
go
be a mutant mosquito.
Think
Yeah.
bigger, honey, think bigger.
Could
Yeah,
be a mutant tick also.
yeah, yeah.
I think like the role of like paranormal investigation, ghost hunting and stuff is that they're always trying to debunk. Debunk it down, debunk.
Yeah,
debunk,
that's what
until
goes.
you can't. Until you come to something that you just really cannot truly explain. And I was talking about Lori. I showed her a recent episode of a Paranormal Encounter.
Oh
show
gosh,
that's on Travel Channel.
ooh, yeah,
And the woman, the couple, she had her camera going at night,
security
Yeah.
camera in the house. Yeah,
aiming down the hallway, and quite clearly you could see a full body apparition walking from right to left, from like out
through
the
the
door
wall, through the wall.
through the wall.
Yeah,
It looked like an older woman. It looked because you could tell just the way it's,
mhm.
just had an appearance. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I
Well,
really don't
yeah,
know
and
how to
I
explain
did
something
look
like
at,
that.
I did see that episode. It was on the other night, and I did see it. And yeah, I sit there. Most of that stuff on paranormal caught on cameras is bogus because I research it and I can tell some. But this looked pretty legit, and it was a
Right.
full-bodied, fairly clear.
Which brings me to I want to go to Pajev Scott. I think is that
Was-
the Fort Knox,
Oh, Fort Knox. Yep.
right? They say that's haunted.
Yeah.
They say there's full body apparitions of the old British soldiers there and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I know.
I've
to
been-
me,
Go
it
ahead,
looks
Jim.
like. Oh, sorry, Jim. Go ahead.
Well, no, growing up, I went to Fort Knox a number of times. Can't say that I experienced anything.
Yeah.
I know I have heard that too about the fort.
Yeah, they say, I know Ghost Hunters was up there one season. They were saying something. I don't know what was.
It's
But
all
then, yeah.
Friday.
So this is a real description of a place. Where was this? These woods where you had the red.
Uh, they're in the town of Waldo.
Our little town.
And it's an actual trail that goes from Unity down to Belfast.
Oh, okay. I see Unity to Belfast. Okay.
Yeah. So we
Hills
were
to the Sea
hiking
Trail.
a section of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it is a sea trail. Well, gee. I should be reading more carefully. Yeah. I mean, the whole idea you're seeing all this blood red water flowing all around you, that would be pretty freaky.
That's cool.
And then you allude to hearing something. So
Right.
I don't know what you hear. What do you think you're gonna hear that's gonna?
Well, I think in the story I could put in here, go to loud sort of jungle noises or screeching noises.
Yeah, screeching or howling. I mean, the whole thing with Bigfoot, there's a particular cry or howl that it makes, but maybe it's something. What about a banshee? Like
Their
something.
scream is bad.
Yeah, a red topped banshee,
Yeah, red. Yeah, there you go.
which would be a cockaded, pileated woodpecker.
Yeah, right.
But you don't have to figure that out. honey.
Yeah, you don't have to.
do
That-
something.
That's the thing. I mean, I know, like Rachel here is an engineer, so she thinks like an engineer, and there's got to be a logical explanation for all of this, right?
Right.
That
Oh,
is,
wow.
that
Oh,
doesn't
there's gotta be
necessarily-
cause and effect too.
cause and effect. Yeah, exactly. What is causing that? Where's the source of this stuff? Oh, it's just biological debris in the bacteria in the water going through the water. Oh, that sounds like a Fisher cat, they shriek like a woman or something, I don't know, but and Fisher cats do have a eerie call. You're gonna
Mm.
write it off, but the way you want to describe a sound somehow
Yeah.
where it won't fit in any of those categories.
Right.
I don't know. It's a good, but I want to know what you hear. I want a description of that sound.
Okay.
I
Uh,
think we got mine when anyone's ready.
okay. All right. Any more thoughts for Jim's story here? I mean, I love the setting. I love the red bloody water, and I'm sitting there. Ooh, I don't know now, but then you explain it, and I'm okay. Forget that. I'm gonna move it on. Let's go to the next. But that's this is not. I'm just gonna say it's okay to do this in longer stories, Jim. I've seen movies that do this too, where, oh my gosh, the water's red, or there's this weird light or something, and the scientific minded person is just gonna explain it. That's all it is,
Right.
But I want to know what you hear, and I'd
Okay.
like to have the creep factor, I guess heightened, maybe.
Right.
What was
Okay.
that? Something moving the trees?
Yeah.
That kind
Okay.
of effect.
Right.
A pair of eyes looking out.
Mhm.
Maybe 6 eyes, 8 eyes. I don't know. Some giant spider is in there.
Mm.
But so
Right.
yeah, Jim, work on this.
Okay. Thanks for the
Yeah.
input.
No, I love the setting. All right, Jean Marie. So we'll listen. I'm gonna stop sharing. Let's listen to Jean Marie.
has stopped screen.
I didn't hear part of that, but I think they're ready.
Let's hear. I know Jean Marie, you were very excited about this.
Yeah, it's only like the first part of it so far, and
All right, that's okay.
definitely something Rachel's gonna like. It's historical ghost stories.
Oh,
Oh,
Rachel.
cool. Yay.
We'll see. It might not be what you're thinking of when you're thinking of ghost story, but
Well, you're just getting to the ghost part.
yeah, it's mostly. the
Oh,
stuff
she's
that-
building us up, and then the ghost is gonna come, right?
Eh,
She's got to
see.
build up.
Kind of, sort of.
you'll
Okay,
see.
kind of, sorta.
Kind of, sort of. Okay, the title is Remembrance. The border ship to New France, 1668.
For those who don't know, that's what Canada used to be called.
Yeah, it was New France.
New France is Canada. The last thing I remember of my short life was the ceaseless rocking of our ship and how ill I felt. I wasn't alone. At least I had my younger sister with me, though she, unlike me, was not a fille de roi, a marriageable young woman from France sent to New France to help populate the area. Looking back, now I see how that might seem unfair to us women, but when your king says go, you go. I remember feeling weak as well, so weak that I couldn't move an inch. This led to my current state. I am now a ghost. How I came to be this way is, in hindsight, rather simple. Everyone believed I had died, but I hadn't. Not until the cold and dark waters overcame me. Some of the ladies had helped my sister wrap me in my petticoats, arranged my hair neatly, and then crossed my arms across my chest. Some of the crew carried me to the side of the ship and placed my body on a board upon a bit of old torn sail. My sister placed my crucifix in my hands, kissed my forehead, and stepped back. My mind was screaming, I'm alive. And suddenly my sister screamed, wait, she breathed, she's alive. But even as she struggled to get back to me, I dragged her away. A cannonball was placed between my ankles, and then the old soil bit of sail was wrapped about my body. My ankles and neck were bound with coarse sailing rope to secure my shroud, and the cold iron ball meant to ensure that I would sink, and sink I did. The age-worn board I was resting on was pivoted along the side, raised, and I slid into the water with a splash. The ice cold stung my body like millions of needles. My previously closed eyes flew open, but down, down, down into the depths of the ocean, down, down, down into the cold, down, down, down into the quiet. When my last weak breath slowly rose in tiny bubbles, my spirit left my body and the pain was gone. My spirit seemed replaced with nothingness as I'd never experienced before. There would be no gravestone with my name, Genevieve Marie Laurent, née January 1, 1652, mort August 15th, 1668, for my descendants to remember me by. So I just have to make them remember me in a new way. A few weeks later, I watch as my sister is nearly dragged off the boat that brought us here. Well, brought her. I can hear some of the men from our ship and a few coarse women talking about how tragic it all is that she lost her senses. She's a fair beauty, but no one will accept her now. I want to shout at them. She's not a fille de roi. She does not have to marry. Leave her alone. But even as I tried, it would only come out as a whisper on the cold breeze and would most likely not even be heard. As the days went on, some people simply lost it.
Notification from suggested. Achieve more in less time. Stay
Oh, I get
organized
rid
and
of that.
accomplish.
That-
Haunted computer.
As the days went on, some people simply lost interest in the lunatic from France. Others speak to her like she's a half-wit and assume she does not understand them, but she does all too well. If not for one of the matrons sent to chaperone that took pity on her, she would be truly helpless. The matrons were mostly widowed women that would work in the hostel set up for new prospects to live in while securing a husband. Matron Louise ran one of these establishments. The girls called her Mama Lou. She befriended my sister Cecile and promised her a home in exchange for work until she found a spouse for herself. Is that where we stop?
No.
No?
No.
One day in the first winter, I heard her speak, though no one was around. Gina, I know you are not here, but I also know what those sailors did to you. If I had only spoken up earlier, would you be with me now, seeking a husband? For the first time since I died, I materialized. It's not easy, though. It's only been a few months. I have almost forgotten how I looked, but I managed to be sure she can see me as well as hear me. Cecile, my sister, can you see me? Can you hear me? The question came out fainter than I would have liked, but it seemed enough to get her attention. No, I cannot. I am not crazy, she whispered. Her eyes were wide and terrified. I glide soundlessly over to her and place my hand on her shoulder, or at least I try, but it seems to go right through her. Who is there? Have the demons come to get me? Am I truly insane? No, I cannot be. I just cannot. I speak once more to her. Cecile, listen to me. You're not insane. I am here, though not in the way we both might prefer. I can't move on. You were right. I was alive that day, the day they gave me to the ocean. I was too weak to fight or even open my eyes to let them know. It was cold and dark and unforgiving, and I was scared, but it was quick. As I sank, I thought of you and the life we could have had. And then I left my body and have been with you ever since. Finally, she turns to me and cries out, Gina. I have to hush her quickly. Shh, only you can see me. Well, for now, I have never been a ghost before. I do not know just how this works.
That's finished for now.
That's
That's where you're at. I don't
phase
know.
one.
Even right there, that's not a bad ending, you know, for a short piece.
Yeah.
I've never been a ghost before. Trying to figure out how this works. Well, Jean Marie, as usual. I like your stories. They're good stories, you know.
I'm not sure that's quite what you had in mind when you said ghost story, but
Why isn't it a ghost story? It's got a ghost in it.
Well, yeah,
fair.
they made her walk the plank.
Right.
Well, kind of. They just threw her.
see.
They take
know
care of her
what?
mafioso style.
So I guess my question gets raised about she died aboard ship. She was sick. And even though she wasn't dead, their solution was to throw her overboard.
Well, because they, I
They
mean,
thought she was dead.
yeah, I mean,
Oh, I
put that in,
know.
they thought she had died.
But her sister was aware that she was alive and tried, and they pulled her away and this.
They assumed she was driven mad by grief, so that's why she was saying that. Which
No,
we
but
need to-
it was that moment where the sister realized that she's not dead,
Mhm.
but the crew just pulled her away and said, "No, she is. Goodbye. She's going
It
down."
becomes more evident in the future.
Yeah.
Does okay. I just that just little moments that pique my curiosity. Anyway, thoughts? Anybody? Is it a effective ghost story?
Oh yeah, I like the descending down into the depths of the ocean.
That was a good
Mm.
description.
Very vivid.
And so she's been kind of buried at sea. And how?
Yep.
So here are the logistics of ghost existence. I mean, you're buried at sea, and granted, there are lots of stories about drowned sailors or, you know, people who died aboard ship. Great stories that where people are sailing through that part of the ocean and they see these ghosts of lost sailors or something in the water. They'll see the faces of the lost men usually. So there is a lot of ghost lore about that. I just wonder, do they always stay at that spot? I mean, granted, some do stay aboard the vessel. So my question is,
Dutchman.
so she got back as a spirit to the vessel to be with her sister.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just wondering about the logistics of that. Okay,
Mm.
what else?
Worked for
And
me.
everybody, what do you think? Renee, what do you think of this story?
I thought it's great.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a great one, especially I'm with Jeffrey about the description of her going in the water. I was getting claustrophobic.
Yeah, I know it's
Yeah, like-
dark and now you're feeling ooh.
It's like going down in the water, and I'm like, yikes.
Yes, you're all tied in and covered by a rope. Covered by
Yeah,
Exactly, yeah.
and you're aware. You're aware
Yeah.
because you're still alive.
Yeah.
That's horror.
I think
You
that's set
are
up a power.
aware. Hmm? Go, Jeffrey.
I was saying, I think that set up a powerful opening
Mm-hmm.
for the ghost story. You know, you instantly took us right to the plank to her death
Yeah.
descending below, and we know she's dead, right?
Mm.
And somehow she's visiting her sister. No,
Well, they're both the girls.
Yeah, I think it's kind of gonna be something like her sister, and then the future family kind of is what keeps her connected to the living. She's kind of like a guide, kind of, not really a guide, but
so is that
she's
kind
not a
of
mean
like
spirit.
American Haunting? The
I
Bell
don't know what that
Witch.
is,
Bell
though.
Witch.
Bell Witch. Well, the Bell Witch was mean and nasty. I don't know if this goes to that.
Mm.
I mean,
She
I don't know if you've
was
ever read the book
Mm.
or seen there was a TV series called Barkskins. Anyone hear of it? National Geographic.
Yeah.
Remember Barkskins? About this settling of Canada in the 1600s, 1700s, where they'd send women from France. Usually they were women who had some sort of damage to them, and they'd send them to be wives to the men who were cutting down the forest and doing all the.
Yeah, that
food
was the
trapping.
fille de Roy.
The fille de roi, fille de roi. The
Fille de
daughter
roi,
of
I-
Right.
Wow, yeah, I
girls
can't,
of
I'm
the
not
king.
French. so-
Girls of the
Fille de
king
roi.
are sent, they were sent by royal order to be wives to all these French
Yeah, children.
colonizers.
They're also called Les Filles Mariées or something like that.
Yeah, at first.
Yeah.
Well, they're not married and they're not always virgins either. They had some damage to them in the sense they weren't virgins or
Orphans.
Yep. Orphans. Or
orphans. Yeah.
I read a book about it, and one of the characters, she, with their family had no money, or they had money, but the family that came into the house didn't want her and her
Mm.
family there. So like, nope, you're going to Canada. Bye. We don't want
Yeah,
you.
they did that. It was either get thee to a nunnery or get thee to New France. And
Yeah, that's pretty
marry,
much
and
what-
marry these really grisly men and make babies and, you know.
In the book, the younger sister actually ended up marrying an Indian.
Yeah, that
Not that
happened.
anyone would like it, but
That happened. A lot of Frenchmen married native women too, but occasionally
Yeah.
women. The women were there though to keep the Frenchmen from doing that, you know.
Mm.
But yeah, so I like the history part of this, and you know, you could maybe
Yeah.
if you wanted to embellish that a little more. I don't know if you have.
yeah,
to.
well, I at first had done it where it's gonna be. I was thinking 100-year segments, but we might make it more like 50-year segments. Where
Oh,
it's different,
okay.
where she visits the family throughout time, kind of.
So she's gonna
But, like-
stick with that family.
Yeah,
But she's a ghost, so she doesn't age or anything.
right. And
They
they tell a
do.
story about her and what happened to her, and
So then she's gonna actually witness her sister aging and dying too.
Mm.
yeah,
She was
See, this is another interesting part of the ghost story is ghosts have the personalities, you know, they're not just things that walk through the wall, although some ghosts, that's all they do. They just walk through the wall. They don't interact with anybody. But here's a ghost who's aware, you know,
Yeah.
theory of mind is there. It's very aware and it's going to stick around and be a
Yeah.
good ancestral spirit to
Yep.
generations, right?
Yep.
So you
Was
could
the
say
idea.
that's an intelligent haunting,
That's an
Yeah, I mean-
intelligent haunting. Mhm.
as opposed to like the one we saw the other
Residual.
night there.
Yeah, that was a residual. Yeah,
It's
that-
the same.
Just the loop. You're just, the ghost is caught in a loop and it's not aware of anything. It's just doing what it always did.
Yep.
But the intelligent haunting is, can't you see me? Can't you hear me?
Eh.
Then the other aspect I like too is the questioning of one's sanity. This is a very popular thing. What do you think of that?
Especially,
Deb? What do you
especially
think?
back then.
Yes.
So,
Well, and you mentioned a demon. Are you the
but yeah, well, she,
demon?
because we assume they're like Catholic or whatever, and I'm not sure if they
Yeah,
had
they'd be Catholic. Of course, there were a lot of Huguenots that came over. They were Protestant. There were a lot that fled France. But what do you think, Deb, about the demon thing? What are your thoughts? Deborah, I'm asking
Deb.
you, Debbie.
Oh, you're asking me?
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure about the demon thing, but I want to say that I really loved your line, Jean Marie, about the make them remember me in a new way. I
Mhm.
feel like you set us up for anything could happen. You know,
Right.
and we don't know whether that's a really good way or like, ooh, they'll never forget me. I mean, I got a little chill with that. So I
Yeah.
just want you to know that it sets it up for anything you want to go to.
And that's why it's also called remembrance.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, I know. This is why she sent me that email. I got a real good one. I got a real.
I didn't say it was that good. I just
You were
it was
so
the right
excited
thing.
about it, but it is good. But
I
that's a
liked it.
really good line. Very good line. You have a lot of good points.
That's a good point.
So imagine
Mhm.
what the two sisters could do
Yeah.
working together
Right.
across that plane to make the living sister's life better and successful.
Mm.
Yeah,
when
well, I
the
get
big
into that a little
sister-
bit later. We haven't edited that part yet, but she does actually, the younger sister tells her that this wealthy, probably a fur trader, or whatever would have been there that was wealthy, asked her to marry him because these were wealthy. I haven't brought that up, but they were from a richer family, but they were sent away.
Mhm.
And she asked her sister, Genevieve, do you think he's honorable? And it kind of hints the fact that Genevieve's probably been following him a little bit to see if he's
The
a good
ghost
guy.
has been found.
Yes,
Yeah.
and she tells him that yes, he is honorable and he will be good to you. And
I
think
haven't seen him in the brothel.
Yeah.
right.
She can be the eyes and ears for the sisters.
Yes.
Elsewhere.
His name
Yeah.
is Sebastian.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
I named it at this point. His name is Sebastian.
Oh,
Sebastian.
crap.
Yeah, that the French one.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
this is a good character. This ghost in herself is a good character. Yeah.
Mm.
What are you saying, Jeff?
Oh,
You were gonna say-
no, I was hitting back to, I'm sorry, James, earlier with your story. I was trying to figure out where I was, but it's a real life experience that you had, but you're trying to write a ghost story. Is that? what
Yeah,
you-
this is a fictional ghost story.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jim.
They have real
No.
ones
But Jim,
of encounters, but
yes,
yeah. Go ahead, Jim.
yes, trying to, our beginning point here was getting better at telling stories around a
Yeah.
campfire.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
And
That was be the
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
But even Jean Marie's story could be told as fiction,
mhm,
but it's imaginative, and you're envisioning this trip across the water, in an old ship. You could develop that a little more and give it more of that sense of what that would have been like, and but of course stories around the campfire are usually short and right to the something
Yeah.
happens.
but I guess that's the place to bring in the creepy sounds from the
Yeah.
forest, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah,
Because we're in the woods.
yeah, where that branch just snapped. What's
Everything
that?
makes a little sound.
Did you see that back there?
Thinking that it could also be that it would be your ancestors, that
Yeah.
there'd be something about that somehow the remembrance,
Yes.
it would tie in with that story of make them remember me in a new way. And it's just a thought.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, there's lots to do. I mean, I don't know. What are some other thoughts of typical campfire type story? Jeffrey, Jeffrey writes such great little short pieces. The kid on the bicycle. Oh my God, that could be that's a campfire story. Jeffrey, do you still have that one?
I think so.
Can you
I
find
got
it?
one.
Do ya? All right, Rachel, let's
Well,
hear it.
it's a rewrite of an oldie but a goodie.
All right.
I just rewrote the beginning. It's about 2 pages, page and a half.
That's fine. Let's hear it.
This is one that was already published, but I never liked the beginning of it. So it's about a haunted house. It said the Kendall homestead stood empty. Its front windows stared like vacant eyes toward the road. Its white paint, washed away by decades of rain, revealed gray clapboard siding. Its roof shingles had long since curled up in resignation. An old house that was too big, too close to the road, too far from the beach, and so run down, no one in the family wanted it. Cars whizzed past, oblivious to its fate. A pristine sign had appeared in the front yard announcing that the Kendall house was for sale. Who would buy such a rambling old place? If it did sell, would the house be torn down? Pessimism hung over the family like a visit from the widow Kendall's ghost. The Kendall homestead was not just run down, it was haunted. But the widow's ghost hadn't been seen in decades. Even if she had moved on, or had she? A figure stood in the upstairs window, looked out at the passing cars and wondered, where were they all going in such a hurry? The potential sale of the Kendall homestead felt like a death in the family. All the relations, aunts, uncles, cousins, came for one last look and to say goodbye. They filed through the front door in a quiet line, wandered through the rooms, up the front stairs, down the back stairs into the kitchen. They crowded around the kitchen table and shared the latest gossip as glasses, mismatched plates, pots, and pans were packed up for the West Harbor Congregational Church White Elephant sale. Didn't Brewster see the widow Kendall while driving his mail route? Dottie Farrington, a Kendall on her mother's side, briskly wrapped a floral dessert plate in a single sheet of newspaper, then grabbed another from the stack of plates in front of her. He said she'd appeared in front of his mail truck and then pulled up when he pulled up to the Kendall mailbox and wouldn't budge, stood there in her long black widow's mourning clothes, blocking his truck, pointing up the driveway. Cheryl Kendall Drew said as she wrapped glasses in the newspaper and quickly slid each bundle into an empty cardboard box. That must have sobered him up fast, seeing a ghost, said Drew Farron, who came into the kitchen to refill his coffee mug. Brewster came into the house and found Cassie Kendall on the kitchen floor. She'd fallen and couldn't reach the phone to call for help. Dottie said as she continued wrapping plates. It's a good thing he came along when he did. But Brewster is known to drink on the job, keeps his bottle of bitch whiskey under the front seat of his truck, Dave Farron said with a low voice to Dottie. Cheryl gave him a quizzical look. You know, the cheap stuff bites you back when you take a sip, Dave chuckled. Brewski's what they call him down in Legion Hall. Did he really see the widow's ghost or imagine he saw her in an alcoholic haze? Brent Lawrence quipped. Brewster told everyone at the bar down the Legion what happened, Dave concluded his story. So, he's the one that found her. Well, it's a good thing the widow flagged him down, Dottie proclaimed. I was hoping she'd put in an appearance today, but she never liked a lot of attention, rather like an old cat, likes to hide in the corner. Dave continued. Brewster must have had a come to Jesus moment because he checked into the VA Center for alcohol detox. No one's seen him down the Legion Hall since. So you want me to believe a Civil War era morning dress ghost in a morning dress stopped the USPS postal truck on its rounds to get the driver to provide aid. Brent threw his head back and laughed. He was a West Side, believe in the Kendall family ghost stories. The women sitting around the table paused, packing boxes, and glared at him. A tiny voice beneath the table proclaimed, "Bitch whiskey," followed by a child's giggle. The conversation abruptly stopped. Dottie peered underneath the table. Kyle, what are you doing under there? A plate flew off the stack and crashed to the floor. Uh-oh, Dave, you're in trouble now, Dottie tutted. See, she's back.
Well, I know, remember, that's a good story, and you expanded that story pretty well.
Yeah, I can't seem to leave it alone.
Is that the one that had all like the letters and stuff between the two?
That had the
Had what?
There was like letters between the widow, or I don't know if it was the widow, but it was a wife and a husband.
Yeah, the letter shows up later because she keeps appearing. The background of the story is she keeps appearing whenever somebody living in the house is in mourning. She died after the Civil War. Her husband was a soldier and she never found his body, so she couldn't properly mourn him. So now the family in the present day wants to sell the house, and now they don't know how to get rid of her.
How do you get rid of it? Is she going with the house when they sell it? I don't know, thoughts? What do people think?
Well, that's just
that's not exactly a campfire story. That's something you read, when you're in the cabin, and you got a collection of ghost stories. But still, good descriptions, good dialogue in terms, that probably only you Mainers use.
Hey, you're a Mainer too.
Well, I'm not a Mainer, but
hey, bitch whiskey's in the dictionary of urban slang.
Oh, it is. Okay. Well, that's
I've never looked at that after what it told me my sister's name meant. And she was like, sex.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think it meant like sexy lady or something. I was like, no.
Interesting. Renee, do you have something off the top of your head?
That's a good one.
Oh, about the Rachel story, or?
Yeah, some stories, some spooky.
Yeah,
Around the campfire, I wish I had one. I should have one in the background.
Yeah, you one of those computer fires.
Yeah.
no, I don't recognize. I know she said that it was based off of another story, but I didn't recognize it. But it was a good story. I really liked it.
Well, I never
especially-
liked the setup
Oh,
of the original. The original one is actually published in Lori's
That's
magazine,
in one of
House
our
Half Acre.
magazines, yeah.
But it's like one of those things. See, I used to do Civil War reenacting, and everybody, whenever they went to some battleground, would always at dusk see ghosts, hear ghosts, smell
Yeah, that's
ghosts,
common with the Civil War.
perceive
cool.
ghosts. So I wrote a ghost story about a Civil War widow.
Yep.
And
And
then
it's
later on in
not
the
a
story, they
scary
go on to tell
story.
her story.
It's a sentimental, like Jean Marie's is a sentimental story, it's not a scary, gonna get you kind of story.
It's
See,
not scary.
Jim's got
Yeah.
the basis of a gonna get you story. We're just waiting
Wait
for
till you
what's
get to
gonna
find
get
that.
us.
Hmm.
I was gonna say, Renee, do you have anything off the top of your head? Some kind of
Oh.
story you would tell?
yeah, well, I didn't write anything down, but I
Okay.
do have an experience.
Mhm.
This was years and years and years and years ago, but it's always stuck with me. So years ago, I used to live in Bodenham, which is not too far from Brunswick, but anyways, and our house wasn't extremely old. It's probably now it's probably about 60 years old or so. So it's not like an ancient house or anything. And so one day I come home from church. My mom and myself, we came home from church, and it was in the middle of winter, and so I just plopped myself down the chair in the den, and my cat got my lap. And so she snuggled down in there and everything, and so she's sitting there and I'm sitting there and we're just resting and everything. And also she perks up and she looks over my head. And I said, no. So I look behind me and there's nobody there. And she's just looking very intently over my head. And then and this is winter, so there's no bugs or anything. And then she just watches somebody, or this is what I think,
Yeah.
but her head turns slowly, almost as if she's watching somebody walk through the den.
Wow.
And she's not scared or anything. She's not like hissing or anything.
No, she's just.
And I remember
absorbing
saying, I was like, her name was Spice, and I said, what do you see? And she's just like, well, look, watching some, and then she just settles back down and she's fine. And I told my parents about it, and I think my sister was there also, and they were like, oh, well, that's weird. And so yeah, it's a very short story, but it just always stuck with me because I was like, it was just really weird. I think that cat, and then the cat I have now might have seen things possibly. It just, but it was nothing really scary because I would sleep on the second floor, and they'd be on the end of the bed. The end of the bed was near the door, that leads out to the hallway and down the stairs. And they'd be sitting there, and all of a sudden they'd look out the door, like as if they heard something out there coming up the stairs or whatever. And I'd peek out, and I'm like, hello. and then they were fine. I mean, and it could have been that they just heard a strange noise or whatever, but they would do that quite a bit. And but if there was something there, it wasn't harmful because it didn't scare them or anything like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
they didn't run, right?
right. No, they just stayed right there, and they were just like, oh, hi there, or whatever. And and for all I know, I mean, it was just kind of creepy, but maybe there could very well have been nothing but that story, the first one with when we were sitting in the den, made me think something was kind of weird, and I wasn't really scared. She's like, wow, that's just kind of weird. How she just kind of watched somebody, or it looked like she was watching somebody walk through the den. And I didn't feel cold.
Yeah.
Nothing like that, but
animals are a pretty good indicator sometimes.
Yeah. My cat's randomly growled in the middle of the night for no reason.
Yeah, that's something. When my cat will do that too, and I know my cat growls every time the neighbor comes home, but But yeah, in the middle of the night.
Don't have any neighbors nearby.
I'm like, what's there? What are you growling at? You know? Yeah.
Yeah, she's not a big growler, but she goes like, and
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
hide.
So cats and
growling.
dogs, cats, horses, whatever, they do react to spirit. And I had
Right.
a colleague that said in her house there was something weird, and she had 6 cats. And one day she comes home and they're all sitting in a semicircle looking at one door.
Ooh.
They were in a perfect semicircle, just staring at this one door in the house. And she's like,
Wow.
oh,
Yeah, that's creepy.
that was creepy. And she never found out what it was, but
That's pretty creepy.
come home and to see that, ooh. It's not like they were in a semicircle staring at her. That would be maybe.
Well, that's scary.
Your coworker's a ghost, now you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is a classic example, another piece of evidence about, like you said, the sensitivity of animals, maybe like small children are
That
to
children,
the paranormal world.
right.
You know, you saw that, remember the same story there?
Yeah, the same
Story.
with the
The little
ghost, and that
girl,
little
yeah.
girl is looking, there's a ghost, but we didn't see it that time.
Nope.
It was only picked up on a
We did.
security camera, and then they were having some get together. And that same security camera was running, but it was daytime. And the girl just looks down the hall and says, there's a ghost.
Mm.
And the dog
Yep.
was looking, there's a dog didn't say there's a ghost, but something, it got the kid, the little
Starts
girl.
talking, that's when you walk away.
And the adults were looking around like, what are you talking about? But you couldn't
So-
see it at that point, but
What do you think that is? I mean, why is it they have a sensitivity to it versus us as adults? I mean, is it because of our,
their brains are
Brain.
still growing and developing, and all the antenna are out, and they're observing everything, and you're not, their
they
brains,
have no biases?
they're not fossilized through conditioning. There's a point where you get, if you're a child who's had that experience, everyone's going to come and try to correct you. Don't say that. Don't talk about that. That's just what do you call it? Your imagination, right, Jim? We're imagining things. And so kids are taught to dismiss. And we live in this world of science, right? And no, there's nothing there. It's just all in your head, or that invisible friend of yours is not real, and it's all, you're taught to ignore it and suppress it.
It's a world of science except for cats.
Yeah, thank you. I love that line, Jim. Put that in your story. That's a good line. We're taught to no, that's not real. They don't exist. Now,
You think about Hell House, right?
yeah.
The
Course
story of Hell House.
What
the
what
premise of
about
it.
which Hell House? There's been a few, but which one?
Richard
Where?
Richard Matheson Hell House.
Oh yeah, Richard Matheson. Well, he's a great writer. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Richard Hell House. Yeah, that movie is terrific. That's another great classic movie. to
Roddy
watch.
McDowell.
Yeah, Roddy McDowell.
Wasn't the one character the 2 men and the 2 women? One
Yes.
was like a psychic, the girl was, and the woman was, and the man was. He had that machine that he was scientifically trying. To
Yeah, he
prove.
was trying to prove that ghosts exist with a machine. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a machine that measures, but that was done in the 60s, right? So definitely analog technology. Nowadays, they're doing the same thing with K2 meters. And I mean, we haven't even gotten into the paranormal investigation world, the ghost hunters and all the doodads and gizmos they use to try to prove or detect or capture spirit, right?
Yeah.
So Legend of Hell House was a 1960s version of trying to capture a haunting. And that's a creepy movie. That and there was another one out at that time.
ghost
Really
story.
creepy stuff.
Shining?
Well, The Shining was good, but actually The Shining really went up against what Stephen King wanted, a ghost story with that. Kubrick took that away and made it, he had ghosts, but it was just the main character's insanity. He tried to, Kubrick did not believe in spirits, so he made a movie based on explanation. That guy is mad, that's whacks his family. Were they real? Were they ghosts? But Stephen King played up in the book, this is a haunted hotel. There are nasty ghosts in this hotel.
Yeah. That was his own paranormal experience.
Yeah, he had his own experience out at the one in Estes Park, Colorado. I've been there myself. I've never noticed anything, but it's supposed to be very haunted. Yeah. But yeah, so there's all kinds of ways of talking about ghosts, characterizing them. I mean, there's the typical, like you say, the ghost campfire story. I mean, I have a short one here. I think that I would put in the I wrote it, but anyway, it was just a short one. So this is this about a ghost? What's it about? I don't know. So it was creepy enough when it sat in its glass display case, but when the doll's large black eyes blinked at me and its pouty mouth distorted into a toothy grin, I knew I had to get rid of it. I told my friends about it and they all said the same thing, get rid of the doll. So I did. I wrapped it up in an old towel and tossed it in a dumpster. The next morning, I looked in the bathroom mirror to see the doll's leering, grinning face, looking back at me with large black eyes. So that's the kind of, you sit around a campfire, you memorize this stuff. And you tell these short little creepy stories. And actually that's kind of based on a true story of me having a doll that was possessed by something. And it had a, one cute little, it was a Japanese doll actually. And one day it just cocked its head and grinned at me. And I tell you, that was one of the scariest moment in my life. I got no explanation for it,
So like Robert the doll.
Yeah, Robert, you want to talk about Robert the doll? That's a very famous haunted doll story.
That doll is creepy.
Yeah, have you heard of that, Jim? Robert the doll?
Not me.
Nope. Anybody heard of Robert the doll? Talk about Robert the doll.
Robert the doll, yeah.
Keep talking. I'm gonna find him online. Go ahead, Renee. Tell his story.
Oh goodness.
Where is he, first of all?
Let me see if I can remember. I just read something about it too, but yeah, there's pictures online. This thing is.
I'm looking for him right now.
Yeah, very creepy.
Yeah,
He
he's
was
pretty.
given to a boy as a gift during Christmas.
Yeah, he got it for Christmas, and the family would hear it laughing, and it would move around the house, and it's like, yeah, somebody needs to throw that in the stove real quick.
So it's from like the 1940s or something. I'm looking.
Laurie Lodge has started.
You see this?
Oh, there he is. Yeah.
Here's Travel Channel again, world's most haunted doll. So what's the story of this doll? Look, dressed like a sailor.
Okay, so you don't want to go up to him and
No pictures.
take no pictures.
Right.
Right. Because
So where is he located?
He's in Florida, I think.
Yeah, I think he's in Key West. I think he's in Key West, Florida.
Yep.
And he was a present. See, look at how Hollywood is trying to make him. They made a movie, it looks like. They try to make him look. No, he looks innocent enough. This is the real doll.
No, Travel Channel had a small series about it.
Yeah. So what do you know about it, Renee? About this doll?
Oh goodness.
Look on Wikipedia.
Yeah, I can get on Wikipedia. Let me see.
Trying to remember how it all started, but
Well, he was a gift.
Yeah, it was a gift. And I don't know how, I mean, if it was cursed when they originally got it, or there's the history right there, but
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, and just shortly after they got the doll, weird things started happening, and they would blame the child, and he'd be like, no, it's Robert's doing all this, and they were like, yeah, right, whatever. And then I guess things got so bad, and I'm cutting it short, but things got so bad that they finally had to lock this doll up because they were
in the attic, I think. But
yeah,
people would see it looking out the window.
Mm.
if they're walking by that house. It was a wealthy family too. They were prominent, but they would see the doll looking out the window. And then when it was, I guess the family passed on and they took over the house. I don't know if the house became a museum, but other people had encounters with it, and it wound up in a museum. It's still there. And, people who work in the museum claim that it moves on its own.
Mm.
Do you
And-
think there
Oh,
was
I know.
voodoo involved?
That's a theory. Otto, the doll's a gift for retaliation for a wrongdoing. Yeah, voodoo. Here we go. Oh, it moved voodoo figurines around the room. So it's famous. It's a tourist attraction. And then if you take a picture of it, bad things happen to you, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, Zach Bagans. Oh, please, that guy. You know who he is, right? Jim, do you know who Zach Bagans is?
No,
Never heard of him. He's the Ghost Adventures guy, and boy, is he an egomaniac.
Oh.
So the doll was taken to Vegas for a Travel Channel program on Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum. And let's see, that's the episode of Deadly Possessions. They didn't say if anything happened. I don't think I watched it.
There it is, The Curse of Robert the Doll.
What's
That's the
that? In
one.
Travel Channel?
Yeah.
Where'd you find it? Or let me go back. I can maybe find it. Was it a Travel Channel one? Well, people can probably because I found it when I clicked on images. I think I saw the travel. I think I saw the Travel Channel right here, Travel Channel. So if it's a good thing to get on and look up these stories of allegedly real life. So here it is, Travel Channel's
Right.
thing. It's a good thing to learn about these, look them up. And this is a great tourist attraction when you go to Key West. And haunted museums are becoming a thing now, but I don't care if it's the place, Randolph Woods in Gardner, like the Bridgewater Triangle. I mean, these are places where people have had real encounters.
What'd you say? Gardner?
Gardner, is it Randolph Jim,
Randolph Woods?
you know where it is? Randolph Woods?
yes, yeah, it's in Randolph, which is across the river from Gardner.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's a stretch of woods that the old trolley bed that went over to Togus veterans.
Oh,
Was redeveloped as a trail, and people hear noises. And one story, I guess, is that somebody went missing on his bicycle and never been seen, but people think they see him or hear him when they're walking the trail through the woods.
oh my God.
Jeffrey, I said field trip.
Yeah, I want to do that.
Let's all go do a field trip.
That'd be
Nope.
awesome. Oh, come on, Jean Marie.
Well,
With my luck, I'd be the one that get abducted.
well, she's a
Oh,
little bit
no.
far. She's a little bit far away too. Jeffrey, did you find that story of the kid going back at
I
past
do have,
the tree stump?
I have stumbled upon this.
Okay, let's hear it.
Well, it's called The Ride Home.
The ride home.
Oh, I wanted to say to Jim, I think as far as stories go, in a sense, probably want to look at like something like this too. Scary stories to tell in the dark.
Yeah, scary stories are telling the dark.
The one with all the gross pictures in it.
Yeah, it has those
Yeah.
weird drawings, right? From that, was he
Yeah.
a Polish artist?
Ew. Oh yeah, yeah.
Gosh, was he good? Great artist. Yeah,
Stephen Gamble,
yeah, that's
Alvin Schwartz.
yeah.
Talk about subtle stories for around the fire. I mean, that book's awesome.
Ride
so-
home.
So, Ride Home. Alright. So it takes place. I'll read it. I swing at you for 2 and you're dead. Spin that counter down to 0 life, fool. Mitch watches Tommy's squinty eyes flicker back and forth between the 2 cards in his hand. What's annoying about Tommy Harper when it comes to bluffing is how convincing he has you thinking you've already won just before he drops a Moab on your ass at his time in place of choosing the mother of all bombs. And the game Magic the Gathering, MTG, a planeswalker, a player, wins the round in a turn or 2, or 3 hours later. Taking pleasure in stretching time out like taffy, just to make others with a sense of urgency squirm, is a Tommy Harper trademark when it comes to the control decks he uses for this game. Tommy designs his decks in such a way as to make an opponent feel powerless and tap out from sheer frustration. Let's just say a padded cell looks like a nice safe space to visit. That foot. Mitch picks up the creature card he had just attacked Tommy with look closer at the illustration on it. The scene is outside in a dark forest with an old witch, like being leaning on a raven's head cane, with a large twisting bunion-filled foot dragging behind her as she walks. A flock of ravens swirl about, and with the other hand, she motions to 2 small children using her long dagger-like fingernail to come to her. Hands off the board. Tommy looks up to a middle finger. Hurry up, asshole. Now. Truth is, Mitch knew he already lost with what cards Tommy had built into his deck, but it would be nice to walk away with at least 1 win tonight. Feeling his internal pressure cooker building up, Mitch's leg begins to bounce. Tommy draws in a long, slow breath and flares his nostrils on the exhale, holding the card he knew could play to quickly in this game right now, but he doesn't, of course, so the torture drags on. Capsize. Tommy taps 2 blue island cards and 1 black swamp card to pay the mana cost. Jesus Christ, my last creature, you ask. You and your friggin' control decks. I'm done. I've got the beat feet. I can keep paying 3 mana and buy this spell deck all night long. Just rinse and repeat. Love this card. You are a fuck. Tommy sneers. You know, I only do that just to toughen you up, skinny man. And he says, oh, I can't read this. Toughen me up or waste time. You know how much I love seeing the beacon in the pitch black when I'm coming in hot. Mitch was referring to the kitchen light. Tommy brings his hands together in a prayer and speaks in a lousy, borderline racist Asian accent. The opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy himself. Mitch is straight-faced. Sun Shu quote, seriously. Sun Chi. Relax, Shapiro. You should be thankful I graced the board with my deck's presence. Throwing his backpack over one shoulder, Mitch dismisses himself with another middle finger. What's with you molesting that card anyway, Tommy said. Mitch fumbles through his deck and pulls the card back out to show Tommy the illustration, using his pointer finger to indicate the part on which he was focusing. The foot. Do you see it? Does it turn you on? What? No, asshole, listen. That foot looks exactly like the shape of that stump sticking out of the ground, the top of Hell's Half Hill. Jesus, Shapiro, you equate a local legend with an illustration found on a Magic the Gathering card. Right, because most of the artists who draw for the company are either in another state or come from the other side of the pond. They don't live around here, Chucklehead. Tommy couldn't deny the eerie likeness in the foot's appearance. He knew its shape, too. He also knew of the legend of what happened on Hell's Half Hill that night, as most local kids did who grew up around the area. Tommy also knew it was just that, legend. Well, so what? The artist could have come across the story online doing research for inspiration or some shit. Mitch protested. And call Wizards of the Coast, get the artist's phone number, and contact him or her so you can pick their brain. Don't be surprised when the company tells you they can't release any confidential information on their freelance employees. Then you can watch your reflection in the mirror turn into a jackass as you reflect on how stupid you were for going through with doing that in the first place. Look, whatever, man. Next weekend, sucker. Tommy chuckles and shakes his head, closing the door upon seeing Mitch out. Here it comes. And don't stop to rub up against any stumps, you perv. Harper's laughter trails off while tight-lipped Mitch cringes, shaking his head as he fades away, cuddling into the dark. Expecting a smart-ass answer from had the last word Harper is a given, but right now Mitch's nerves are quite on edge. The cool, fresh rain cleanses the night air as wet droplets speckle Mitch's face, taking a long trek back to his doorstep. Up and down slick black pavement, he pedals on his mountain bike. And sooner than he realizes, Mitch makes it to the hill. This is where it happened. Mitch, not understanding why, hits the brakes to stop and pause for a moment to take in this unsightly image. There it is. An ugly, disfigured stump, strangely grotesque in the way it thrusts out of the earth like a clubbed foot. The smaller toes twist around one another with one large bunion-like knob protruding from the side of where its big toe is. Mitch rode past Hell's Half Hill many times to Tommy's house before thinking nothing of it. Although Mitch is sure that the stump always seems to stick up just a little bit higher each passing ride. Even during the day, the stump's appearance is ugly enough to make someone cross the road to walk on the other side. Mitch pushes off, letting gravity carry the weight of his bike and his body as he accelerates in speed on the downhill, listening to the wind rush past his ears. Before he knows it, Mitch flies over the handlebars, slamming into the pavement with a harsh thud. Time passes before Mitch throws his eyes open and takes in a deep gulp of breath. As a kid, Mitch recalls that sensation of slime and yolk running down from the crown of his head, a little Mikey Tobin broken egg over, once much the same way his blood is now. His head pounded, his chest hurt from having the wind knocked out of him as he slowly and painfully picks himself up from the pavement. Taking a digger at that speed, he was thankful at how lucky he was able to stand up on two shoes. Mitch, allowing his blurry eyes a lengthy moment to adjust to the moonlight on surfaces, makes his way over to where his bike lay. Fuck, he says as he kicks the bent rim of the front tire. Picking it up by the light carbon fiber frame, Mitch sees on the pavement 2 feet behind where he crashed lay a broken branch like cane, alongside a handle in the shape of a raven's head. What the fuck? It was as if someone or something thrust it into Mitch's rear spokes intentionally. And where did it come from? That cane. Mitch hastily drops his bike frame and reaches into his side pocket for a flashlight. He clicks it on and pops it into his mouth. Mitch then throws his backpack down and zips it, rifles through a cache of garbage to fetch the deck he was playing with against Tommy tonight. Shuffling through the cards, he finds the creature card. Mitch squats down over the handle and compares it to the one in the illustration. His heart falls into his stomach. Hearing a splashing sound, Mitch shines a shaky flashlight to his right over a large puddle of water where he could clearly make out the reflection of a stump in the shape of a clubbed foot standing in it. No one was there. A year passed this devil's night, where a tattered photocopied high school headshot picture of Mitch Shapiro still hangs under the missing persons pin to the hole punctured cork surface of the local community board. Impaled on a branch of a bush just below the board was another photocopied picture of a young man around Mitch's age. It was Tommy Harper.
Yeah, so that's something that's good again to read. You know, it's good because the kids are playing this game, you know, card game. But I think in the other story, the one that we ran, he had to get home by a certain time. Remember, he had to be in a rush. My mom's going to kill me if I'm late again. This is a different version of the story I remember.
Yeah.
that there was that tension of, oh my God, I gotta go. We've been playing this card game. I gotta go. Well, and then there's the mention of that stump, and then, oh, be careful. You know what happens if you go past that stump past midnight. There you had that was in the other version, which would fit
Yeah.
or for a story around a campfire, like that these kids are playing a card game, so you take out a lot of the details, right? And then Mitch realizes it's getting on midnight, and he has to get home, or his mom's gonna, whale him. And
Yeah.
then there's a, well, be careful about that stump, and then the tension of him pedaling up that hill, trying to get there before he, maybe he's got, I don't know, being aware of the time. And he crashes with his bike, and he sees the reflection in the puddle. And the next thing you know, he's a missing child poster. I mean, that's what I remember from that story.
Yeah.
But-
That was the one
but-
I pulled out of the magazine.
Was that the one we published?
Yeah.
Was it that one? I thought there was more about the tension there. Was that the one we ran? I know,
Yeah.
but
I think in my original.
but here's, maybe that was it, but here's the thing with we're telling, if you're looking at ghost stories for the campfire, and I'm gonna say, that'll be an assignment for next week, is if we can write with that short and direct and fast delivery, kind of like scary stories to tell in the dark does. Like, there once was a girl, something, or it was like you started, Jim, with, well, we were walking in, yours is a good setup, and it's pretty direct and brief. We just need something to happen in there. But maybe that's the challenge, instead of us I know you guys, a couple of you, you've written for publication, so that's something, we like to read, and when we're sitting at home by the fire or something. But when you're sitting out with people and you're going to tell your stories, I guess we want to lose some of the details. Those details are great for print, right?
Nice.
It's
Like
like
the 500 words or less.
well, yeah, but it's that you got to get to the point really quickly, and you set up your scenario. There were, like, how Renee was telling the story about the cat. I was sitting at home, we just come back from something, and the cat, we're all comfy, and suddenly the cat looks around, sees something moving around the room, and then you want to embellish that story, Renee, even if it didn't happen, and all of a sudden I feel a breeze coming from behind my neck. That's the art of telling these stories. I mean, it's one thing to say, oh, it was interesting, the cats may have seen something, but can we come up with short little stories like that, that don't have a lot of detail, and that they're like, you're setting them up. Yeah, it was a winter night, and the snow was blowing. Like my story of the Esa seat, like two guys were hunting, and they wound up in a cabin to ride out the winter storm up in northern Maine, and then suddenly there was a knock at the door, and they're saying, who could be coming up to this cabin in this storm at night? And then
Up in northern Maine.
up in northern Maine, and then they hear this wailing sound. Is that the wind?
Mhm.
What's out there? I think that, do we open the door? What if it's somebody, what if somebody's lost in the storm? And oh my gosh, what do we do? And then one guy opens the door, and here comes this flaming skeleton who's out to eat anybody it finds in the woods. And the other guy kind of jumps out a window into the snowdrift and runs away and leaves it. Then the next day, he finds some people to come back to the cabin, and his friend is just in pieces all over the cabin. He's been devoured by the Esahit. So, that's the kind of story. Yeah. And Native Americans, Penobscot, I have heard that story in that language, even though, I've had it translated, but that's exactly how they tell that story. Two guys are in the Maine woods on a blizzard and a winter night. So can we tell stories like that, do you think? Because that is more of the campfire style story,
Yeah.
right? So we can definitely do that.
Short and sweet.
short and sweet, and then that build the creepiness about it. That's the point. You're sitting around a campfire, right? Now everybody saw this article I sent, just
Yeah.
some tips.
Mm.
So what did you think of this? Tone, what kind of ghost? What did you think of this article?
I like step number 9.
9? Let's go down there. There's more to ghosts than ghost story than ghosts. So yes. What is that? Why'd that strike you, Jim? Number
And then
9?
10. I like 10 as well.
Yeah, ignore the 9 rules. Break all the
Right.
rules, ignore all the advice. Write a ghost story that's in bright daylight.
Well, it's still a story. It comes down to character.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening to the character, or what is the character doing, or
Well, if we
Oh,
listen,
she's the ink
the character
author.
drives the
Cool.
plot.
yeah, if you listen to the first of the radio plays, you didn't have to listen to all of them. I just wanted you to listen to that first one about the guy who was going to get revenge on his buddy out in Las Vegas,
Yeah, that didn't
Listen to-
happen.
but just that was a crazy concoction of, you're dead, what are you here for? And what this ghost wants and how it's possessing the husband, and
Yeah.
you listen to it, it had all kinds of paranormal tropes in it. And then wanting to have the husband of this woman murder the pregnant wife
Ooh.
because he wanted revenge for this guy stealing his girl. Now
Even though he
she's
was a girl
carrying
drug.
that baby. That was pretty brazen stuff. I don't know. What'd you think of that if you listened to it?
I listened to it. I think the guy was going a little far, but that's what everyone on the other side was telling him too.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a character. That ghost was a character,
Yeah.
an obnoxious character.
Well,
Did you get the link to that? Did I send you those CBS ghost stories?
I believe so.
Yeah, if you have time, listen. You don't have to listen to it's 3 hours of old radio stuff, but and they're all cool stories with a lot of Twilight Zone music in them. But
Oh, nice.
I just like the nature of this ghost story. It was a little different,
You guys talking about cats being weird, and my cat's being weird right now.
Why is your
Yeah.
cat being weird?
Well, she's sitting down in this bright corner where there's just nothing but me and a wall, and she's looking around. I mean, I'm petting her, but she's never gone over here and sat over here.
Ooh, I don't know, maybe some. So anything else in here, like, choosing a tone? I noticed like Jean Marie, or even the little story that I wrote for the magazine, that short one, it was first person. Are you gonna, the voice, you're gonna write in first person? Jim, your story wasn't it like we were walking through the woods? Yeah, it's a first person plural.
yes.
Does that matter when you're telling the story, or can it be third? I mean, most campfire
I think it-
stories.
I think it's usually third person, but I think it goes either way.
Yeah, I mean, all the stories I grew up telling was like the man with the golden arm, and what was the other one? The
Here's a
guy-
challenge: try writing in second person.
Yeah, you
I've done
know.
that. I've done that
Yeah.
once.
So, does that matter? The voice you choose, again, your setting, like I like Jim's setting in the woods. I like the idea of, there's red, the water's red, so that's a bit of a disturbing trait for a nice calm walk in the woods.
Yeah.
What about rules? Ghosts need them. Oh, this is fantasy writing. Feeling quite random and too convincing when you don't take the trouble of the time. Rules in the world. Do they have to obey rules?
Right.
What are the limitations for any like a Bigfoot?
Depends
or-
on what kind of ghost, because there's different kinds.
Like
Well, yeah.
Beetlejuice, right?
What was that?
Like Beetlejuice, you gotta say his name
Yeah,
3
Beetlejuice,
times.
you had to say his name. Yeah, 3 times.
That's Bloody Mary.
This is important. Do your research. So
Do
yeah,
your
we haven't talked about, and we can get into that maybe next week. Ghost hunters. Do you want a story with a ghost hunter at all? And you can definitely tell short and sweet stories about oh, what did I hear? I heard one the other day. A little boy who was being mean to he was a young boy. I don't know how old he would have been, 12, and he was being mean to his sister, and he's teasing her all the time and freaking her out. And then she learns to kind of ignore him, like, nope, you can't do anything to me. You can't do anything to me, or something. And then one day he decides to hide in her closet and like creak when she goes to bed, and he creaks the door open. And she just said, Lucy doesn't want you to do that. And then next thing you know, Lucy's in the closet with him. I told you not to, no, I don't want you to do that. And then slam the door shuts or something like that. But it was like there was this thing in the closet. And that's what I look for too. I should find a whole bunch and email them to you, these really tight and short 2-sentence horror things or little short stories like that. I know the bedtime stories is pretty good, Renee. Where there's some other ones that were memorable from that. I know I've run into some down there, but you should listen to these, and I'll find some links and I'll send them to you. Maybe they're on TikTok or they're on
Ooh, TikTok.
Reels. Well, Reels, sometimes Facebook Reels has them, but
Yeah.
YouTube may have them too. But I can send them so you can get an idea of, what goes into those real flash fiction pieces.
Ooh, back to
Not a lot,
Flash.
not a lot of not a lot of what do you call it?
Dialogue.
Not the elaboration that we heard, which is good because that makes for good story when you're reading. But when you're doing the campfire type stories, like Jim pointed out, it's that boom. Here's the setting. Here's what happens, and if you can, give it a twist.
Yeah.
That's good. Like
Oh, there's some other historical piece going on.
It's
Oh,
like,
that- Jeffrey.
I was, beginning of, Friday the 13th too, when everybody, the councils are gathered around the fire and
Yes.
talking about the, Jason, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the Legend of Jason,
The
setting that
legend
up.
of Jason.
Yeah, and what kind of themes too? Don't forget the big themes. They're often about death and guilt and unlived and life unlived and loss and lost love. Like again, the Morty or whatever his name was in the CBS, thriller hour. He wanted revenge. That was his thing. And
So how do you generate themes?
well, that's a good question. What do you think about that? How do you generate a theme for your story? Jean Marie's got a theme going on. Rachel has a theme going on. Even your story, Jeff, has a theme about, kids not coming home on time. And, in a time when kids would disappear, what was the explanation? Was it the spooky, thing on the hill that had some legend of a witch associated with it, I don't know. What do you think, Jim? What are some themes? What's your theme in your story, Jim?
That's a good question. I was coming at it from an experience.
But again, you found a scientific explanation. So now our wonderment is gone.
Yes, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just the thing though. If you elaborate on the story, yeah, there was probably explanation for it, but what if you come to find out that it's not actually that? You know what I mean? It's maybe somebody's actually doing some slaughtering or something.
Yeah, what made it? Yeah, whose blood
I
is
think
that?
the theme would be the unknown, wouldn't it? The theme
Yeah.
would be the unexplainable.
Yeah, basically.
Well, that's what people say when they have the Bigfoot encounters or weird things in the house, the poltergeist stuff, UFOs even. I can't explain why that light was just hovering over my house and or suddenly, like maybe with Renee's story, then suddenly you saw that shadow figure move across. You didn't.
It was
but,
just the wind.
No more shadow people.
that's what makes these things so good. And like, I could tell you a story about the ghost car or the ghost kids on the railroad tracks down at this town in Texas. And our car stalled on the tracks and a train we could hear it coming and we couldn't get our car started. And suddenly the car started to move and the car was like rolling, but we were going uphill, but the car was moving and we got across the tracks just in time. And we all got out of the car and we saw little handprints in the dust on the back of our car. That's a campfire style story. So, and it's
Yeah.
based on a couple of real cases. There's a place in Texas where some kids got killed in a school bus on a train tracks.
Yeah.
And so there have been many accounts of the car moving when it shouldn't. And then they see little handprints in the back on the trunk. And there have been lots of accounts. So stuff like that. I don't know, the red blood in the Red River, the thing. Would that freak me out at a campfire, Jim? I want to be freaked out.
It would scare me.
All right, well, I'll give it some more thought. Some more
I
work.
think the sound effect is a good aspect.
Yeah,
You know? What was that screech? Maybe that, I know Fisher cats sound like, you could still explain it, but.
Right.
All right,
I'm
any
gonna
other?
look up examples of
Mhm.
campfire stories.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And I will do that. I was just we were trying to analyze the ghost story. What are the elements in it? But why don't we do that for next week? Let's look at examples of real campfire style stories,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
make them right to the boom, punch it, and let's do that.
I actually have a book called Campfire Stories, so there you go.
Oh, yeah, take a look at that. And I mean, I'll find some reels or videos or something, because they do come up. I find some good ones and they're real tight and creepy and whatever. So that's what the effect we want. Okay.
Okay.
But thank you for everybody. I love hearing like Jean Marie's story. That's going to be working in my brain here about the ghost in Quebec.
I was gonna say we might work on it for Saturday, but I'm not actually gonna be there Saturday.
Oh, you're not going to be here with us
Sorry,
on
launch
Saturday?
has stopped
No.
screen.
No, that's
No,
okay.
I wasn't there
No,
last
no.
week either. We had
No,
a bunch of
don't worry
birthday
about that.
parties.
We still do our little Saturday thing. And by the way, Jeffrey, there it is. That's hot. There's our issue.
Oh.
That's our summer. This is the one we just did with all the strange things, the skull inside her heart. And
Yeah.
I got writer's block in there.
Writers, bloggers are
So
pegs.
it's all about writing. But so that's, I don't know. I love hearing it. So I'm looking forward to next week, right? Let's bring in
yeah.
creepy, and maybe I think is Aldi going to be back next week? Oh, is it Alden? Yes, Jim.
He should be.
Okay, because I'm waiting to hear his stories. Because you said he's a champion campfire ghost storyteller.
Well, he's the one we're supposed to be trying to encourage to do this.
What does he do it though? Does he tell the stories?
He tries, very creative, imaginative, but just
Well-
needed some inspiration, maybe.
Well, it could be, but
Um,
yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
I was just gonna say, I liken it to, I guess, what back in old days, like a Bard's Tales,
Yes, Bard's
Right.
Tales.
Yeah.
or
You just
like
entertain.
campfire.
Yeah, but I'd say let him know, Jim, what we're gonna do, and if he can come up with some stories that he likes to tell, or even if they're not his own, if they're just things. Because when we were kids, when I was his age, we just would hear them or we'd read them somewhere, and then we'd sit around and tell them. So
Right.
that's what we used to do, right?
Yeah.
All right, and these are recorded.
Okay.
I post them on YouTube, and then I'll send the link so he can take a look at what we were doing tonight too.
Mm.
So
All right.
he and his mom. All right.
Okay.
Okay, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Do it.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.